The Patriots are a 3-point favorite for their showdown with the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Sunday. We're joined now by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. Welcome, Stink.
Yeah, good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Are you surprised by that?
No, not at all. I mean, I look at one thing. You always look at matchups, and you look at teams that match up well with other teams and why it's difficult. And it's really interesting to me. In the last, I think they've won 4 or 5 straight games, 4 straight games. There's been one score that was within a touchdown. The rest of them are double-digit scores where New England has beaten Pittsburgh, and their system and their style matches up well. Pittsburgh wants to play some zone blitz concepts and play zone, and they just eat it up. The New England just eats it up, and they continue to do the same thing over and over again, even if they get new players. It's the same system, and systematically they just match up well. Here's the other thing that's really interesting, and I just know this about Bill Belichick and his organization, having done television for a long time with guys like Teddy Bruschi and had a lot of friends that have played in that organization. I went back to last year, and when they played the Houston Texans in a playoff game, where the Houston Texans, opened a can on them. They still lost by 18 points, but they dominated that football game. It was Brock Osweiler, his inability to complete a pass.
Any competent quarterback there to beat the Patriots that day.
Exactly.
That defensive performance.
Okay, the defensive performance was great. And I know this, that Bill Belichick will go in there, create a low-light tape, because the guys who played for him told me and said, here's all the things that I've been preaching to you for the last 4 weeks that we've overcome because we're that good. Here's where they bit us in the backside during this particular game. And so he'll put a low-light tape together. He'll say, this is why we lost. This is what I've been preaching to you guys for the last 8 weeks. And now they'll come out here and they'll go to Pittsburgh and they'll play exceptionally well. Plus they have Gronk back. It doesn't surprise me at all that they're 3-point favorites just because of the matchup, the history of the matchup over the last few years.
I agree with everything you said. No, I'm not surprised. I thought they maybe be slightly, maybe even 4-point favored. Vegas is not swayed by what Pittsburgh did Sunday night and what happened to New England on Monday night. That's not how Vegas is swayed. They look at the history. We going back and we know what happens. As you mentioned, the games are normally out of hand. By the start of the fourth quarter, the game's out of hand. And whether they play in Pittsburgh, whether they play in New England, whether it's a regular season game, whether it's a conference championship game, it does not matter. They have not, because basically this is the same Dick LeBeau zone fire blitz Pittsburgh Steelers defense that Tom Brady eats like cornflakes in the morning. So I don't know if he really eats cornflakes, but he eats
probably not. He
eats this defense up, okay? He reads this defense like I read the morning paper. And I read the paper. Joyce, stop telling everything. She tells everything.
There's no more morning paper.
I read the morning. USA Today.
Like
USA Today.
Door.
That's the morning paper. I read it every morning, Skip. But I tell you what, Tom Brady got something in store. They win 3 out of 4 games after a loss. 75% is what Coach Belichick's record is after a loss. I don't expect them to lose 2 in a row. I expect them to go take care of business in Pittsburgh.
I would have been surprised by this point spread before Monday night, when the Patriots got embarrassed by Jay Cutler and company down in Miami. And now I'm back to, okay, Patriots by 3 and maybe, to your point, 4, 5, or 6, because I don't think Tom Brady's going to lose twice in a row. I don't think he's going to get embarrassed twice in a row. And I think we're going to see that alter ego come out I call Psycho Tom. I think he's going to Pittsburgh. And I don't think he likes Pittsburgh. I think there is some rivalry there, even though he has dominated this series. I think he enjoys eating those cornflakes.
He should like it.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things when you look at Miami, just from a matchup standpoint, one, they've always been able to pressure Tom Brady. With Wake, with Ndamukong Suh, with
Jordan Phillips,
Phillips and Godchaw, who did a good job there. I think the other thing, where New England has torn people apart, is their backs out of the backfield, especially on the edges. And let me tell you, the speed of Kiko Alonso and the other linebackers that played for Miami, they did a phenomenal job of getting in that, being that flat defender, rolling out there and tackling running backs as they were getting the ball, bam, no yard after catch. They did a good job. Pittsburgh without Shazier, and this is a big issue for them, and you saw it on what would they play Sunday night? you saw what a difficult time they had defending the run and also getting out in the flats with the linebackers that they have currently constructed on that roster. So that's a matchup to me that really favors New England, and they'll get back to it.
And do you have Joe Hayden? Now, he's practicing this week. We don't know if he'll play.
Yep.
Right.
Xavier Howard did an unbelievable job on Cooks because so he neutralizes him, and now you can roll coverage everywhere else. But Monday night, they didn't have Gronk.
Right.
People have yet to consistently find a way to take 6'7", 275 pounds away from Gronk.
Right.
I mean, from Tom Brady. And you might take, he's off a little bit when he doesn't have Gronk and Edelman. But normally when he has one or the other, he will find a way. And on third down, he's not going 0 for 11 again on third down.
Here's the deal. If Shannon is running the seam, right?
Yes.
And I'm a linebacker, you know what I have to do? I got to give my safety some help. So I got to hug that seam route, right? I got to try to disrupt that. All of a sudden I leak a back out in the backfield. You know how hard it is to get from helping on that seam out to the flat to that back? That's what Miami didn't have to contend with, and that's why New England didn't convert a third down last week. They didn't have that to contend with. This is a different football team when they have 87 running in those seams, running in the middle of the football field.
And when Tom Brady can pull off the equivalent of long handoffs to James White or Rex Burkhead by just flipping it in the flat, you get 5 here, you get 7 there.
Kind of like what Wynn's been doing all year?
Kind of like
that.
He has been handing it to backs who are second in the NFL in rushing. So he has had a real rushing attack opposed to a Tom Brady who had 25 yards rushing at Miami.
First in the NFL in tubs.
Okay. And back to Bill Belichick on defense, they are mortally flawed on defense. They're not very good on defense.
They just don't have good players, Skip.
But they do have a scheme. And just watch what will happen. They will limit the lightning strikes from Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown. They will limit. They won't stop them. But he caught 7 for 77 in the AFC Championship game at Foxborough. And I told Shannon, I can't remember one of them.
His number one priority will be to stop Le'Veon Bell. Because if you can't stop Le'Veon Bell, you can't beat this team. And you remember Kareem Hunt went bonkers on him the first game. Now, Le'Veon Bell is a little better than Kareem Hunt. He can catch it better. He can run it better. You better stop 2-6. You let 2-6 get going, you got no chance of beating this football team because now they're going to play action you and kill you with Antonio Brown. And that tight end, Jesse James, the outlaw, he's better than people think. Gronk and all these.
So what are you saying? Can Pittsburgh score 25? Can they score 30?
I believe in order to beat New England, you got to get to 24. That's the minimum cutoff to beat them.
Right.
If you don't get to 24, you can't beat them because they're going to get there.
I think you got to get to 30 this time.
You might be right.
They're a team, as we know, that can get to 30. The issue is if New England continues to have their way offensively against Pittsburgh's defense and you get down early, you become one-dimensional throwing it and just trying to target Antonio Brown, that's where they get you because they let you take yourself out of the running game. They let you take 26 out on your own. Because of they've been able to compile 10-point leads and then just be able to maintain throughout the game.
We just saw Joe Flacco put up 38 points at Pittsburgh. I've called him Joe Fluco in the regular season, but he wasn't Fluco that night, and they ran the heck out of the ball. They did pretty much whatever they wanted until the end, and Ben finally said, okay, I've had enough of this. Boom, boom, field goal, walk off, 39-38.
What New England does, Skip, they won't give up the big play, and they'll make you be patient. They believe you will become impatient longer than you will stay patient. They don't believe you can go 13 plays and get the ball in the end zone. They believe you want to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, now it's time to go. And then they make you make that costly mistake, and now Brady's back on the field after just coming out the field, getting a touchdown or a field goal. That's how they get you.
Yeah. Well, this is a bad matchup for the Steelers, but it may just come down to who has the ball at the end of the game, the way that they're both playing. Mark, thanks for joining us. The Sixers played Joel Embiid too much last night. We'll discuss that next.